In today's video, we are going to build ourselves an Ork Dakka Jet. Watch this entire video and see how it turns out. One of the first things that I'm going to do is I want to decide how wide I want to make it, because I'm going to start making the cockpit first, and I'm going to use some sheet styrene for that, and I'm trying to get an idea how long I want to make it. The width, I went off of a Warhammer figure and to see how wide I wanted to make it, and I feel this is a good, wide enough. So the next thing I want to do is I need to cut away some of the plane to fit the cockpit. So I'm using a saw. I'm just going to saw through and cut it away an appropriate amount that I feel is good. The way I work, I don't really, plan. I kind of just go with the flow, sort of. So I felt like this was a good amount to cut away. I can always adjust later. So I want to make it like an open cockpit. We're not going to have any kind of glass or anything like that. It may have something in the front, but we'll get to that much later. So I'm just using a ruler and basically just trying to get a straight cut, because this is made by orcs, so orcs are not exactly clean, so that's a good thing for us. Using the ruler, I'm trying to get a straight line to start with, and once I get my Tamiya scriber going and get a good groove, it should be able to cut a straight line. And now I have cut it thin enough that I can use the clippers, cut away pieces, bend it back and forth, and eventually it will break free just like that. When I thought about building this was exactly what I had in mind, this open area just like that. My vision for the cockpit was like a nice open area where you can see all the detail. So just using some sheet styrene, I got the basic shape going, adding the sides and securing everything down with some Tamiya thin. So it's looking pretty good so far. It's exactly what I wanted. We've added the rear section, and we will cut the curves on that once we match it up and have it in place inside the cockpit area. Building the back area to the curves of the plane, I'm going to use my clippers and just cut along the fuselage to get the shape that I need. Using some clips that I picked up at the dollar store, very useful. Just getting a mock-up to see how everything is going to go, trying to get an idea of how I want to do this. So looking pretty good so far. The good thing about making something orky, it doesn't have to be precise, it doesn't have to be, quality. It can be rough looking, rough edges and all that sort of stuff. So we're making some seats, and I'm simply just going to cut 4 pieces, and one's going to be the bottom and one's going to be the rear of the seat. And then I'm actually going to take another piece of sheet styrene that's smaller, bevel the edges, and you can see me applying that right now, so it'll look like sort of like a seat cushion. I am quite pleased how these are coming out. Very simple design, just using that Tamiya thin to secure everything down. Looks really good. Some sheet styrene, we're going to add some to the bottom there so we can attach it to the cockpit floor. So I'm happy the way everything's coming out. You're not really going to see that area once it's all painted. Using some Tamiya thin to attach some side rails to the chair, just to add some little extra detail to it. I needed to make the chairs first so I can see what room I have to add all the greeblies to the rest of the cockpit area. That should be a lot of fun, and that is coming up next. Alright, I made just some basic shapes for some control panels and things like that, and now I have all my greeblies all picked out, and let's start adding some greeblies. The pieces I have chosen are from the Taiyu Warhammer 40K range. They all seem to be very appropriate, so a lot of that stuff, once it's all painted up, is going to look fantastic inside there. So just adding some of the parts that may look like some radar or any kind of thing that would go, with some sort of bomber plane. So picked out all the parts, and we're just going to add them all together and make our control panels. If you're not familiar with the term greebly, it's basically any kind of model part or any kind of part that doesn't necessarily go to what you're trying to build, and it basically just makes something look better. Made famous from the early Star Wars movies that were made, and they would use parts from old plane tank kits to add to the ships in Star Wars just to make them look better. And if you look really closely, and if you're familiar with models, you can actually pick out parts and know what they're from. It's pretty cool, actually. So this control panel is going to be for the pilot seat, so he wouldn't have as many controls as the person that sits in the rear that will control all the bombs, all the weapon systems, and the radars and things like that. So here's a look at the rear area. I made this in greater detail. Like I said earlier, I believe he would have more control panels, more doodads and things like that. So I'm adding, looks like a weapon system there, a radar system, whatever the eye believes it to be. That's kind of what a greebly is. So now I'm adding some greeblies to the side of the cockpit just to add some extra details. This is the vision that was in my mind. Everything is all completed. The seats will be added later once we get everything painted. So I felt it was a little too long, so we're going to shorten it using the saw just to cut a section off. So I want to thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. To all my subscribers, thank you for supporting my channel, and I will see you in the next video.